A revolutionary. Say whoa. Trap revolutionary. Got the wave of too scary. Doing this thing like Malcolm ain't by any means necessary. We ain't got it by no one seen hand. We got the master plan. Get the move.
What's going on, y'all? Y'all do the video real quick, man. I just came from the motion for new trial, Karmelo. And you know, just heard the proceedings, some of the things they presented. You know, the defense called their witness, I think Toby Shook, attorney for Karmelo, you know, during the trial, you know, called him up to talk. You know, basically is, you know, serve as a witness for, you know, the defense, you know, and to talk about how the defense team actually, you know, they were going back and forth with the prosecution, and he mentioned as far as the gentleman's agreement they had, you know. So basically, you know, the defense said, look, you know, y'all have information on Karmelo that's damaging. And prosecution said, okay, well, y'all have, as a defense, y'all have information on Austin that's damaging, you know. So we just leave that to the side, right? We'll leave that to the side, and we'll just let the, you know, the trial proceed as is. That way we don't, you know, we don't have any further issues with presenting the facts, you know what I'm saying, just to expedite the process, right? You know, so and honestly, what ended up happening in that sense, that made Karmelo not want to testify, because they felt like, hey man, they got so much information on me. I'm afraid if it comes out, then the jury's gonna see me in a negative light, and it's gonna make it worse, right? So, to make a long story short, being that's the case, that so-called gentleman's agreement ended up being where Karmelo did not testify on his own behalf, even though Bill Wersick said that he said that well, Karmelo could have testified. Actually, I would have wanted him to testify. You know, because that's one of the main pieces for to help the prosecution win. For, you know, it actually, yeah, Bill Wersick, it actually helps the prosecution win, because we can pretty much we'll tear the defendant apart anyway. You know what I'm saying? Even, yeah, it's gonna be to where, yeah, you wanna, you know, bring him on to he can try to plead his case, but we gonna pretty much, you know what I'm saying, we'll piece him apart to where it'll end up revealing, you know, some things about him to where it'll make the prosecution's, you know, argument look better. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how he said it. But what it all boils down to is, when everything's said and done, it end up actually leading to a constitutional violation. You know, because even in this sense, as well, a gentleman's agreement, that's nothing on paper. So you just out here making deals, you know what I'm saying, doing under the table stuff. It's a good old boy system. It takes just how we do business, but that's not good enough when you got somebody's life in your hands. You know what I'm saying? You got somebody literally life hanging in the balance. So handshake on something like that, that's not good enough. You know, you can say all day, and it's not professional. It's not even professional. They didn't have nothing written out. The agreement is nothing. There's no contract. You know, it's nothing written down. So you don't have to stand on that. And first and foremost, you know, anything that's not written like you know, in law, you know, even studying real estate law, though, the statute of fraud. If it's not on the four corners of a piece of paper, shit, ain't no way we can do nothing about it. That's basically what the court pretty much say. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, even in this sense, it's like, man, y'all end up y'all end up making y'all's own rules up. You know what I'm saying? If I understand, in the court, that don't apply. That don't work. You know what I'm saying? You can't make your own rules. It's like in real estate. I'm studying real estate, right? You know, a agent A real estate agent can't make his own forms up. You can't just make stuff up and go along. You see what I'm saying? So think about that. And what I'm saying is really think about what I'm saying. You can't get in court and just make up stuff, make your own rules or make your own agreements up. And that's supposed to be court, you know what I'm saying, proceedings, court rule of law, or, you're following court rules. That's why you have certain procedures and rules in court so things can be in order. So things like this don't happen. Gentleman's agreement, what you end up doing is violating this man's constitutional right to have a fair trial. You know what I'm saying? Because in his defense, he like, hey man, I'm not getting up there out of fear. Like, you really say it's duress. He's under duress, like not to even get up on his own behalf and testify. So stuff like that, and another thing, the Bastion challenge as far as the 3 jurors they struck, his attorney did raise that, of course, but I think that's another thing that would give him a new trial. Now they hadn't ruled on it just yet, but Judge Chit is supposed to he's supposed to rule on it today sometime. So, that's right now, is what, people are waiting on, you know what I'm saying? Because yeah, it's just, man, at this point, man, it's like, yeah, Michael Chitty. I said just shit. Michael Chitty, yeah, he hadn't ruled anything just yet, you know what I'm saying? But they did, like I said, and I, was at the hearing, you know what I'm saying, this morning, and people came out support too. A lot of people came out supporting, which is a good thing, man. Actually had the regular room was filled up where the proceeding was at, and then they had an overflow room, where you could view the hearing on the monitors, you know what I'm saying? So, I was in the overflow room, and it was filled to the brim, man. People trying to get in and show their support, because people concerned, it's like, man, and like I said in the video yesterday, man, Karmelo was not the only, he's not the only, young brother that end up, in the system like that. It's so many young black men in the system like that. You know what I'm saying? But his case ended up getting national attention. But there's so many young brothers that got railroaded, got just, unfair treatment in court, unfair trial or unfair hearing, or their case in court, or pleaded guilty because they didn't have no representation. You know what I'm saying? They really didn't have the representation they needed to take their case to trial. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of end up, and that's what happens a lot too. A lot of cases end up being a plea of guilt will be, just on a case. Most time people just plead out, so a plea of guilt will be entered into the court, you know what I'm saying? So the person can like, hey man, I feel I can't win, let me just get it over with, you know what I'm saying? Let me just try to get as light of a sentence as I can and try to get it over with, you know what I'm saying? So and that, that's another thing, so that's why I said, that's major, so that's why I say it's way more, man, people that are in the system, that have been sentenced, man, and end up just like, what, may not even be guilty, but it's like, they've been convinced, like, hey, look, you go to trial, you can end up getting way more time, so you might as well just take this plea, do this sentence, and get it over with, so that happens as well, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it said. Majority of criminal convictions come from guilty pleas in the United States. So, man, it's crazy, man. So, I just would say that, and they say, and that's why which is stated. The reason people don't go to trial like that is because convictions are much more common than acquittals. And especially on the federal level, because the federal court, they done pretty much built up a case on you before you even got to court, especially in a criminal federal proceeding, so, in that sense, that's how they convince you, pretty much your attorney, the state's attorney or whatever will convince, defendant to just go ahead and plead out so they can try to get a lighter sentence, because most times, like, hey man, you're gonna end up getting convicted. You might as well just plead out, get it over with, and be done with it. But yeah, man, I just want to report on that because I was saying, like, went over there yesterday and today, and it was just good to see the support, man. It was really good to see the support. And I'm glad I went. You had a few people to show up, that's on social media. People, that people kind of, know about or whatever. So, people were there, kind of, getting their, on, I guess, coverage of the motion for, new trial or whatever. But all in all, like I said, from everything that was presented today, and I'll put it in the video as well. What I'm saying? Like I said, they, even revealed about Austin, man. Like he was just a troubled kid. That's the best way I put it. It's kind of sad, man, because it's like he should have got help more so than what he got. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, he was a troubled kid. That's the best way I put it.
Now, there's in this motion for a new trial, the background reports are being released, and the defense is going first, releasing 20 pages now of Austin Metcalf's behavioral history. Karmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
And it's sad though too, and I mentioned this that as and it's a different too. It's a difference in culture. As Black people, like the way we handle our children or the way we understand respect for adults. Black people, which is mentioned with Austin, for I understand, he punched his mom. He threatened to slap his dad, or put hands on his dad. He punched a cheerleader, I believe a cheerleader, a young girl in the stomach. He pushed her down or whatever, then hit her in the stomach. As a little kid, I think he was probably like 8, 9 years old, beat a little girl up. He got charged for that. Spray painted on the wall, something like did some form of vandalism where he sprayed like KKK, kill all Black people, Hail Hitler, just they say he got kicked out of basketball games, like suspended in school, a couple of times. Even on the football field, like he just going off on the football field, like he just, going in some form of rage or something in the football field. Then somebody was talking reckless at a game, and he texted him like, "Man, kill that MFer." You know what I'm saying? Like the kid was just trouble, and that's the best way I describe it. And I'm saying in a sense of compassion, but he was troubled and he needed more help than he got. I put it like that. But what I want to say on the cultural thing with black and white people is that this is this. Black people, we don't. It's just the best way I can put it. Man, we don't play that about our kids. You know what I'm saying? It's no way you finna punch your mama or threaten to slap your daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, with us, you out of there. That's not accepted, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he got CPS and all that, but we not trying to hear that with our kids. So, that type of behavior is not accepted, man. And I wouldn't even say, man, because you can't tell people in that culture what to do, but I know in other cultures, man, when a kid gets reckless, it's kind of like, sometimes other cultures are too soft on the kids, man. Yeah, you don't want to harm your kids and nothing like that, but at the same time, that type of disrespect, it's like, man, we not trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? You not finna put your hands on no adult. You know what I'm saying? You like that's the way we are. You know what I'm saying? And like even like the disrespect thing. It's like I said about my brother. I was a kid getting out of whoop, but my brother tried to tell my uncle no. That's all I remember. My mama drugged my brother. That's the worst whooping I ever seen. My mama, like, man, my brother didn't get whooping, but that day, man, my mama got switched, man, and took it to my brother. You know what I'm saying? Scared me, But anyway, I would say that, I think that he should have got better help, man. You know what I'm saying? From a psychiatric or sociological, psychological perspective. And I hate that for him, honestly, you know what I'm saying? I hate that for his family, but shit, cause this whole incident, man, I hate, daddy, both, I said, both children, man, they could have been in college now, you know what I'm saying? Getting ready to do something great, whatever it may be, right? But this ended up happening, and I'll also go back to what I said about the coach. The coach also shouldn't have never told Austin, basically step up and be illegal, and he, basically like trying to take control of the team, feeling like he can just go tell somebody what to do, go tell Karmelo what to do, So, that part was wrong. He basically charged you trying to, and that's what I said, and that's why that right there, under Texas law, the education, Chapter 37 of the Education Code and the in loco parentis doctrine, you can't do that. You cannot deputize a student. You can't give authority to a student to go tell another student what to do. That's just that caused this major issue right here. That's the crux of this issue. The crux of this issue, but they haven't really looked at it like that. But I would keep saying that, the shouldn't incident would have never occurred had the coach not never did that. And I think all teachers need to be instructed on that, to really be purposely instructed on that one issue. You know what I'm saying? Well, multitude issue, but this issue right here, man, it's very important. You can eliminate a lot of problems, you know what I'm saying? Or you could eliminate, major problems like this, But anyway, I just want to report on this, man. I'm gonna get up out here, you know what I'm saying? I just want to, say that because like I said, I went over there today and checked everything out. And but I think like I said, I really do. I think he's gonna get a new trial. And this time around, it'll be it'll be a just process. But anyway, I'm gonna get up out here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all out there doing well, live a life full of love and happiness. Appreciate y'all liking, sharing, commenting on my videos. Like I said, we can agree, we can disagree. We disagree, we can hash it out, but I'm always be respectful towards y'all, as y'all be respectful towards me. Till next one, y'all. All right, y'all. Love y'all.
Fuck it, go ahead and blow off the dough. Step through the maze, man, and became amazing. About to rewrite history and change a page in a crooked book that never told us the true story. Like how we were kings and queens before the slave story, before the killing, stealing, and drug dealing on some real shit. We ran away.